The Nimble with Numbers team presents Chalk Blocked with Bo Big Time McBrayer.
I gotta know what a $5 shake tastes like.
That's hot.
I want winning, folks. You don't know diddly.
And his partner, Scott Stack Simpson.
Do you know who I am?
Trying to put Tiger Bomb on this jungle's nuts.
That's cute. I remember when I had my first beer.
I gotta catch a glimpse of these warlocks. Let's make a move. Make a move. Make a move.
Hey, you guys, welcome back to Chalk Blocked, the world's sexiest DFS show. For now, I'm Bo McBrayer, as always brought to you alongside Nimble with Numbers himself, Scott Stack Simpson. This is a Nimble with Numbers production. Make sure you subscribe to the page, like this video, like every video come across with our pretty mugs on it. Just share away. This is where you all come to make more money in one day on DraftKings than you will probably make in across all of your season-long leagues, even if you're in a couple championship matchups tomorrow. Guess what? You can make more in one day than all of your season-long tournaments combined.
Unless you're in the Millie Maker, which I'm going to win because I've got a bullet loaded up and I can't wait to take it down. No, you can. I appreciate Bo's honesty because here's the thing. Last week, I won my own tournament. I scored over 200 points. If I would have put that in the Millie Maker, I would have been around like $300, $400. So you know what? Even if you're not going to cash, right?
And that was the same lineup you had for the Clash, and you absolutely annihilated me. I had no chance. First quarter, early window, Amari Cooper was 3 for 150 and a touchdown in the first quarter of the early window. I already knew it was over.
I did not text anybody and celebrate as one might. I just said good game. No celebration. I said good game.
Yeah. You're usually the first to react and the first to tilt when it doesn't go your way. So right. it was a stoic change for Simpson last week because he had the nuts, and I'm sure he was just kind of freaking out that it went so well because it was that good. It was that good when you had the top two wide receivers that both went off. And it wasn't just Amari Cooper. It wasn't just that you had Joe Flacco, which I also had Joe Flacco because it was a great value pick. And I talked myself out of Amari Cooper to put together a different stack. And it worked out okay. It didn't work out for 55 points, which, I mean, that's what are you going to do? Tip of the cap to you, Simpson.
Thank you.
That was a banger.
What was nice is I played only one lineup last week, and so it cashed in every single thing I put it in the free, $5,000 free roll. I won some money in that, and so I'm doing that again this week. I've got one lineup to rule them all. Well, actually, that's not true. I'm going to play a bunch of lineups this week. I lie. This is the last week of 13 teams, 13 games, 26 teams. This is a big weekend for DFS. It's wide open. I don't want to say chalk doesn't matter, but it kind of doesn't when you have this many options, and we'll kind of talk about that. And this is called Chalk Blocked. When you got a 10 team slate or 10 game slate or a 11 game slate or even 9, you're blocking some chalk, right? You got to avoid landmines. You still want to avoid some of the players that maybe are overhyped and overvalued by people in the community, but you don't have to kind of worry about like, oh, am I going to get in these smaller tournaments? I'm going to get duped. You're not getting duped. The possibilities
you also
are endless,
have to be able to build a lineup around the players you want to feature, though. That's what I'm going to caution people about this week is the ownership percentage notwithstanding. Be careful about rostering guys with less upside who are more expensive because building around them isn't going to have the same bang for the buck. And it's going to be more difficult to put values around a person who's overpriced. Yep. And that's what I'm worried about this week is being able to construct a good lineup all the way through top to bottom without having to really just punt an entire spot just because it's the only thing that fits under the cap. This is where you can get away with putting together a solid lineup and leave a few hundred on the table to be different. Yep. Like maybe you don't worry about ownership percentage, but you worry about lineup construction to maximize ROI. That's what this is all about in the end. At the end of the day, you want to beat everybody else, but you also want to maximize your probability of winning overall.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say at this kind of point in the season, you're chasing upside, and you're trying to maximize opportunity, game script, upside, and then also look at teams like, for example, Tampa Bay, who have a concentration of their volume into a few weapons, White, Mike Evans, and then their defense gives up a lot in return to kind of target those games where you might have a little bit of an over in an under situation. 42 and a half. This thing's going over New Orleans, Tampa Bay, just an example. But with that being said, here's what we do on the Slate Walk. We are brought to you freely. Yeah, freely by Run the Sims. They don't pay me. I don't get paid by them. They just love me and I love them.
So sexy, it hurts.
It's very sexy. So if you have not used this tool to help you win money yet, you should. The great Pat Mayo, Justin Freeman, they're using it. I love it. These guys are rock stars in the community for fantasy football, for DFS. So jump in. There's a link on the Nimble W numbers. You can sign up for free and get a little test drive of the situation. With that being said, here's what we do every week. We go through the whole slate. We talk about each game. We build stacks, and then we build a lineup or two at the end, and we talk about plays that we like. So with that being said, let's start with a banger right here in my own backyard. Baltimore hosting Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa, and the Miami Dolphins, led by none other than the man himself, Mike McDaniel, who I like a lot.
Great,
he's
coach.
my man. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah,
Met his
he's
wife.
awesome.
Guess where? Met his wife in NorCal.
NorCal. Yeah, she son of a bitch. Drink. Okay.
It's true though. He's like it never. I mean, obviously, he coached the Niners back in the day, just before he was promoted to take over the Miami Dolphins as head coach. But way back in the day, you'll get a kick out of this. He was the running backs coach for the Sacramento Mountain Lions of the USFL. And the Sacramento Mountain Lions, he was their running back coach, right? And the quarterback for that team was Josh Johnson. And as you know, Josh Johnson's been the quarterback of half of the teams in the league. One of the teams along his road from the San Diego University to every other team in the NFL is the Sacramento Mountain Lions. And running backs coach was Mike McDaniel. And he was in NorCal. He met his wife.
And he stole her from
from one of the players on the team.
I love it. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about this game. The total is 46.5. You've got two offenses that can, get after it, but then you also have a really good defense in Baltimore and Miami. When they're in kind of underdog matchups, their defense has been okay. It hasn't been terrible. They've blown out people like Denver and teams that kind of suck. But how do you see this game going? And then kind of how can we build a viable lineup from a few of the pieces in this matchup?
I'm looking at this game as the chalk. This is the chalk bust for me because I'm picking the under in this game. Baltimore's defense is that good. And honestly, since Jalen Ramsey was activated, there's correlation more than causation there, but the Miami Dolphins have been a top 10 defense since Ramsey was activated off the injured reserve. So this is going to be a defensive struggle, a lot like what we saw against the Cowboys in Miami last week, where, yes, the offenses are the top two scoring last week. It was Miami and Dallas, number one, number two in scoring offense, and we had a sub 45 total. What happened? Well, both defenses played great. Right. And a lot of people said that game was a stinker and it exposed both teams as weak. No, it exposed both teams as having better defense than they're getting credit for. Baltimore's defense, everybody knows now. Like, a lot of us knew how good Baltimore's defense was before because we watched the games. We saw this on paper before the season. They're legit. They completely obliterated the 49ers on Monday night, completely took them out to the woodshed, beat them senseless, and exposed them. Miami has been exposed against good defenses as not being stoppable, but you can hold them to 20. They're not going to score 30 plus on the Ravens on the road. So if you're looking at a game that's 20-17, 23-17, it's not going to be 46.5. It's not going to be anywhere close to that.
I agree. I agree. I think this is a smash under. And here's the issue I have with no Jalen Waddle. I know that the Ravens defense is not going to completely take Tyreek Hill out of the picture. No one really has ever been able to do that. But Tua's just not going to have the time back there to air out, multiple deep shots, double moves, things like that. I think it'll be a little bit more challenging for him to take those 7-step drops that he needs to kind of fling it. So Tyreek is nice, but at 9,300, you're paying a lot. And I think that's one of those guys that you talked about before, like building your lineup around somebody like a Tyreek Hill. You're chasing after the rest of your lineup after that. And if he doesn't hit, then you don't win. And so I think he not that he's over, projected here at 15% rostership, but just somebody maybe that you're going to bypass in your build. So I'm going to lower his max to like 10%.
We can compare this game pretty closely to last week for both teams.
Yeah.
The Cowboys defense, very similar to the Ravens in that they're opportunistic. They mix things up. They try to confuse the quarterback. They did a great job of that against Miami last week. On the other side of the ball, Baltimore's defense
top-rated defense.
They're playing another Mike Shanahan type disciple system.
Right.
The Mike McDaniel offense is very similar to Kyle Shanahan's, the one that we just saw. Obviously, I think Tua's 10 times better than Brock Purdy as a quarterback, but it's a different team. It's a different situation. Mike McDaniel has changed some parts of that offense to make it his own, but it's still very similar. They run the same motions. They have the same terminology. This is going to be very similar to where we get to see how much better Tua and Tyreek are than Brock Purdy and all of his weapons. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what he can do versus what the 49ers did last week, which was not pretty at all.
Yeah, no, I agree. I put a few little players together. If I am honest, I like the dueling banjos a little bit, whether it's I think I just have Miami there. Yeah. Gus Edwards, I bet him anytime touchdown. I have a huge 10-team or 10-player parlay for $10 that can win me $500,000. So he's on this list. Gus Bus, I think he's getting in the end zone. So you could play Gus and just as a one-off maybe, or maybe H-in as a one-off. But I know they want Mostert to get the touchdown record and all that kind of good stuff. But it's a game that I don't think I'm going to be heavily invested in because there's other matchups that just have kind of porous defenses and then also offenses that like to go after it a little bit more. So yeah, well, I'm with you kind of. Let's jump to the next game. Vegas and Indy. I feel like this could be over 42 because both these defenses have eclipses of the heart and the mind at times too. What do you think about this number 42.5?
I think it's pretty accurate. I'm not touching over under in this game because I think it's pretty spot on. But I think you're giving too much credit to the Colts defense and not enough to the Raiders defense, which has been lights out the last 4 weeks. Since Antonio Pierce took over, that's a whole different ball. That's a whole different club over there in Vegas. The Raiders are different. They didn't even need to complete a pass after the first quarter last week to beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
This is different. Their pass rush is great. Max Crosby's an animal. Their linebackers are playing possessed. Their corners are terrible, but they're getting the job done. And because they can get pressure with 4, they can drop 7 into coverage, and that's been the key to their success, especially last week where they just let Mahomes run around in a clean pocket and scramble around and still couldn't find anybody open the whole game because they could double or triple team their top target, which in this case would be Michael Pittman, who's coming off concussion protocol. He's a good pick for me. I like Michael Pittman in this game because he can run any route from any position as a wide receiver. He's going to be the focal point of that offense. I don't like Jonathan Taylor as much because the Raiders up front have stuffed everybody. They've stuffed everybody. So I think this is a pretty well laid game for 42.5, but I'm going to want pieces of it. Like Zamir White, super chalky. I don't really care because he's such a good price. And we just saw what he could do last week. The Raiders' run offense has been so much better without Josh Jacobs, ironically, because Jacobs was so awesome last year. It's weird though, right? Jacobs was awesome last year. Awesome. Best year of his career. Comes in this year. They're the worst running team in the NFL. And they were up until last week. They ran the ball, were 32nd in rushing yards in the NFL until last week, and Zamir White ran for 157 by himself.
Yeah. Well, I pulled up the defensive stats per kind of position given up, and the
Colts
Colts
are not good.
They're terrible.
Not
They're
good.
30th. They've given up the second most, tied for the second most touchdowns. 1,600 yards is it's fifth most. And then when you put it all together, they're over 2,300 yards, or around 2,300 yards of offense to one position. So I know that Zamir White is picking up a little bit.
And wide receiver is not much better if you look at that part.
No, I know. They're in the, well, that's why I said 42.5 is kind of laughable, not because these offenses are amazing, but because I know that these defenses, particularly the Colts defense, you saw it last week. The Falcons looked good last week. Why did they look good? They played against the Colts defense. I know the Colts at home, they get turnovers, they kind of sack the quarterback. That could kind of also increase the points in this game too. You get a pick six, you get a fumble recovery, whatever. You know, I could just see some white shirt running down the field with a football in his hand for a touchdown. They got to re-rack it and bring Zamir, whatever. That's my kind of thought in this. Bad teams getting the over. But I love Zamir White. And I know that's Collins' boy from last year. He put him up on the must draft list and he didn't pan out, but now he's panning out. It's finally come to Zamir White season.
You hold on to a good football player long enough,
and
he gets an opportunity. What he didn't have last year was the opportunity. And now he's getting it. Yeah, but still, from what we saw at Georgia, he's an absolute stud. And guess what? I think he's probably the future of that backfield for the next 2 years because he's still under contract. Jacobs isn't after the season. So what are you going to say other than, hey, they found a good one and he's paying off. And I was huge on Zamir White coming out of Georgia. He's a great football player. Anybody who gets the nickname Zeus is got to be good. Yeah.
Well, there's a guy on their defense named Diablo too, by the way, in case you didn't know. I mean,
Divine Diablo.
Yeah, Divine Diablo. I love that guy. And he has like a scary number, like 12 or something. He's a linebacker, edge rusher. You see him 8 or something like that. He just comes out of nowhere. You're like, that guy's fucking scary. I love him. So I built a 5% Michael Pittman Zamir White stack. I think if
8 is Jacobs, Diablo's 5, I think.
5. Okay, yeah, 5. 8 is Jacobs. Yeah. I do love this run back here. It's cheap, 12.6, and you've got kind of both of the potential for both of these players to go off in their offenses is probably number one for Zamir White, and then number 2 compared to it's good. I like it. You shouldn't be too chalky either. Going back to the player.
Look at Devontae Adams. That should tell you everything you need to know about this slate. Is that good, solid plays like Pittman and Adams are under 10%. And they will be because of how big this slate is. 13 games is massive.
Right. That's why chalk is kind of irrelevant. More so you can see what people are thinking, which is nice, right? But you're not trying to avoid it because you won't win if you don't play this player X this week. I don't think there's anything like that. So nice call. All right, let's get to a game that I picked the quarterback in. You picked the player. I don't want to spoil the head-to-head matchup, but we like some of the pieces in this, if not the game itself. I do think the Rams win this game. They've been on a heater, but I think it's close. I think it's a good game. I think they go back and forth. How are you seeing this game? You got a banged up Puka, a banged up Wan'Dale Robinson. Not that it matters, but how are you approaching this build?
Well, Puka's he was on TV last night. I was watching, and he said he was going to be fine. So he had a hit pointer in practice, sat out Friday. He's still fine.
Happens. Right. It happens.
People get hurt playing football. Imagine that.
He's a man.
He's tough too. He needs 9 catches, 143 yards to break both of those rookie records over Jamar Chase. That seems good.
Over JJ as well. So didn't it go JJ, Jamar, and now Puka? Is it like
Jamar
that?
In the modern era since 1970? It's Jamar.
It's just Jamar. Okay, I thought JJ. So this is the yardage record.
Yardage and receptions.
Oh, and reception. Okay, I thought
the receptions record was Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle set the record for catches, and Jamar Chase for receiving yards. And so he needs 9 and 143 to break both records tomorrow.
Here's the
And
question.
he still has
Here's the question.
another game after this, obviously. So I think he breaks it tomorrow. So play Puka Nacua. He's going to get a shit ton of volume. Matthew Stafford's been on fire this year. The Rams are the hottest team in the NFL right now. Nobody in the NFC wants to play them in the playoffs.
I don't understand why is Puka 5% rostered? It's like people are not paying attention or they don't believe still.
7,900 and a Q tag.
Yeah, the Q tag I think probably I love the Q tag when they're not really queued, It's just like a false flag.
You can thank Arthur Smith for that because teams are paranoid that they're going to get fined for falsifying the injury report. And just like Arthur Smith did, because he's the worst coach and worst human in the NFL.
He's pretty bad. Jerry Jones is up there too.
He's the worst. He's an owner. It doesn't count.
Oh, he counts big time.
Well, he's been the same for 40 years.
Well, that's not true. His face used to be a little looser, and then it got tighter. You know what I mean? So honestly, he's changed
personality-wise, he hasn't changed a damn.
Oh no, he's been a huge fucking asshole for a long time. I know one when I see one. Right, I can smell his all the way from Texas. So but no worries.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
I know. I digress. I just taking cheap shots.
I don't love owners.
I know.
I'm always siding with the players.
Not like Randall from Memphis, who said that he was against Russell Wilson in the owners dispute. By the way, on Twitter, he said he has no sympathy for Russell. Oh, I'm sorry. How many people who have had CTE aren't with us anymore? You have no sympathy for the players. I'm sorry, that's a cheap shot. No. Anyway, question. Segue back to the game. Are you playing Kyron Williams in this matchup at 8,300? Because they priced him up. Finally, he's where he should be. He gets catches. He gets out of the scramble drill. He's dumped off. He can get the little touchdown out of the backfield. He gets schemed. What do you think?
Yes.
And
Puka,
not that many people actually are onto him.
Play Puka, play Kyron, play Stafford. And just a quick tidbit on the game before, I'm playing the Raiders as one of my favorite DST starts, and sometimes stacked with Zamir White to break the chalk. So that's just a little sidebar there. But the Rams are going to annihilate the Giants, and I'm going way over on this one because I think Tyrod Taylor's offense with this team is more dynamic than Tommy DeVito. DeVito was terrible. He was just. He won national NFC Player of the Week with 157 passing yards. That's a pretty low bar to win a weekly award. And now he's riding the bench again, where he belongs. It's just it's a performance thing. It's a meritocracy. He had his run. The team won games while he was quarterback. He got credit for it. Now they sat him back down. Tyrod Taylor's in there. They're still going to get blown off the field. But I think they're going to score 20 points and keep the Rams offense chugging, like foot on the floor. I think Stafford and Kyron and Puka and Cooper Kupp, all these guys are going to have bigger numbers because of the Giants offense being good enough to hang with them and force them to not lay back in the second half.
Yeah. So are you putting Darren Waller in there? Are you putting Wandale as a run back?
No, Darren Waller looked like he looked worse than Jimmy Graham does this year. Last week, Darren Waller, Jimmy Graham's caught half of his catches have been in the end zone this year. Yeah. Darren Waller has been hurt all year, and he's been hurt most of the last 3 years. And he came back last week, and he still looked like a corpse out there. He didn't make his first catch until the end of the game. And then he cost him the game by laying on the ground when the clock was running.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, Waller's out. It's over for him. Not counting. I put an onslaught stack. That's all of the stacks I'm building here. And then we're going to jump to a game. Holy Moses. This is a home game for Philly. Phillies, they rebounded. They played a terrible Giants team last week. And the Giants gave him a run for their money, actually. Tyrod looked good compared to, DeVito. But how do you think this game unfolds here? You got a healthier Kyler Murray, but you got a limited supply of wide receivers for him. Michael Wilson looks like he's the best option at 3,500. How is this going to unfurl?
You're going to play some Dortch. You're going to play a lot of Trey McBride.
Yes, Trey.
You're going to sprinkle in a little James Conner for mop up at the end of the game because he gets volume, but you're not going to expect any upside from James Conner. I would play him in cash. The Eagles offense, I'm surprised is not getting more chalk because the Cardinals defense is awful.
Yeah. It's a concentration on Jalen Hurts and DeAndre Swift.
Fine.
I think
But
what they're
Swift,
looking at
10% Swift is nice. Like that's upside. That's a lot of upside against the worst run defense in the NFL.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the issue has been, and we're New Heights podcast listeners ourselves. Shout out the Kelsey brothers. They talked about it, how I think like 10 times this year or something, or
Six,
but
yeah.
6 times DeAndre Swift has been tackled at the 1, or they've been at the 1, and he's not going to get the ball again after that. Like it's going to go.
Bro.
Sorry, bro. Yeah,
and,
it's not good.
So, if you're on the field as a real player, that it doesn't even make any difference. It's like we want to do is score this touchdown. And why wouldn't our team run the play that's 92% effective?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it makes no sense to do anything else. And so, hey, if I'm DeAndre Swift, I'm ecstatic because I got us close enough for the automatic touchdown. And if I'm a fantasy manager with DeAndre Swift, you're pulling your hair out because it's the same exact thing that happened to him in Detroit last year.
Yep.
Where he was rolling, and it was him and Amon-Ra St. Brown that both got tackled at the 1 yard line a dozen times. It was ludicrous because it turned into 18 touchdowns for Jamal Williams.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I think it all comes down to the allocation of the touchdowns, and that's going to make or break all of these plays. And we kind of know that as fantasy players by now, but let me tell you where I'm chasing some touchdown upside, right? I like Trey McBride for a touchdown. I think he's going to be the number 1 wide receiver. He's priced up, but he's been a wide receiver since he kind of emerged and they got rid of Zach Ertz. And so he's a number 1 wide receiver on that team. So you got to play Trey McBride. DeAndre Swift, you put him in there as well. Now here's the question. Do you like Michael Wilson better or Greg Dortch? I think Wilson's more of a red zone target, more of a field stretcher. Dortch, the short passes. But when Kyler Murray's scrambling, he's not looking necessarily all the way downfield. He can't see that far down there. So are you going Wilson or are you going Dortch, I guess?
I don't know, man. It's a really enticing matchup for leverage because Kyler's got so much upside with his legs.
I know.
I guess Wilson because he's got the size. Like Dortch is tiny. Obviously, Rondale Moore is tiny. Maybe I like a little bit of Rondale Moore because he's at least shown something this year. Yep. And Wilson hasn't shown anything since the first couple weeks of the season. So I trust Rondale Moore because he's shown he's more than a gadget guy this year, which is good. He needed to have that part of his game after Cliff Kingsbury left town.
Yeah, no, I agree. I built a few stacks. You got to have AJ Brown in there for sure, and then, I do like Devonta Smith as well. I think both of them can eat in this game. And if you just want to be totally, kind of like a psychopath, you could just go 2 wide receivers and the QB and run it back. See if I can find that stack. Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah,
but
conversely do Kyler naked with 2 Philly options like Swift and Brown or Brown and Smith.
I mean, I can't not have Trey McBride in there. You know what I mean? Like
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I would just do AJ and Devonta with Trey. That might be the play with Kyler if you're gonna kind of game stack.
Especially on a slate this big, you're not going to see a lot of need for double stacks unless it's.
No one will do that, right? No one will do that. It'll be all yours.
I have a couple games where I'm going to need a double stack to be different, and we're getting there.
Yeah. Well, so let me ask you. I teased this game before. Yeah, I know you didn't like it. Tampa Bay, their defense sucks. It's true.
A pass funnel.
I know, right here. And look, New Orleans, they're up against it this week. They've given up almost 3,000 passing yards. They're the worst team against the pass. But when it comes to yardage,
because they're so good against the run.
Because they're so good against the run, exactly. So with that being said, which of these wide receivers are you putting more of your eggs in, Olave or Raheed Shaheed? Because they're both 10%. If you look at the projections, 10%, 13%. I think people are on to them by now. So how are you assessing these gentlemen?
I'm playing them sporadically as individual entities. I don't trust Derek Carr to have any upside Like he's the worst quarterback to pick for DFS.
No, I don't like him.
And especially this week because you're chasing a 35-point outing that he hasn't done in 2 years.
Yeah.
So
this is going to be a division matchup too. It's going to be a little bit more gritty than that. Even though you don't have all the pieces for both teams, it's going to be tight.
If I'm playing a quarterback in this game, I'm stacking with Baker and going back to like I'm doing Baker, Mike Evans, and running it back with one of Olave or Shaheed because I think both those guys are valuable plays. They're going to get theirs. Shaheed, I have just this distinct feeling that he's going to catch a really long touchdown tomorrow.
Every time. I mean, you can see
and
it, right?
It might as well be Carr's only touchdown pass of the game. Like if that happens where Shaheed catches a 65-yard bomb on over the top on a go route or a post, which is what he's known for. And Carr has one touchdown pass, and that's the only one that I have a feeling happen where Olave gets 15 targets, 8 for 100 yards, and he gets you there that way.
Yeah,
but he doesn't score, and Carr only throws one touchdown, making him a bad play. But I think Baker's going to get plenty of volume here, and Evans is unstoppable.
Yeah, I do love Evans. If you look at the running back situation too, Kamara a little banged up. He didn't practice on Friday, so sick, but still, a little wary. They have a good run defense, the Bucs. I think Kamara is still viable. Not a lot of people are going to be rostering 6%, but I don't think he'll. Yeah, I think he'll be actually more useful. But yeah, I think it'll be a lot of Kamara, and then or Kamara, whatever you say, and then a little bit of the Shaheed at the end too. I mean, a lot of Olave, but I don't know how much effectiveness.
Did you hear how Kamara addressed the pronunciation of his last name?
Is it Kamara now or something?
No, he says his mom says Kamara, but he says Kamara, so he accepts both.
Okay. Well, I've been saying Kamara for forever, and then so is that the way his mom says it, or the way he says it?
His mom says Kamara. He says
I say Kamara. I say Kamara. Okay, so me and Simpatico, good. Me and the guy who got suspended for 4 games for kicking some guy's ass.
I find myself interchanging the pronunciation depending on how my mood, I guess. But
I feel that.
It's
like a mood ring. Your Kamara mood ring. He's Kamara when he scores like 6 touchdowns on Christmas.
I think I've said Kamara more since when I hear Kamara, I think of Kamaru Usman, the UFC fighter.
I'm with you.
So I say Kamara just to keep them separate in my mind.
I like it. Pop Douglas transitioning here. A New England Buffalo, by the way, minus 14. Poppity pop minus 14, and he's got 16% rostership. It's a nice correlation because they're going to be down. It's 4,300. Are you playing Pop? Are you popping with Pop?
No, don't play Pop.
Don't play Pop.
There's a lot of good values down there in the same value. Like play Pop and cash. In a 50-50 double up, play DeMario Douglas. I'm actually really happy to see this because I never thought back in February that I'd be talking to a guy that'd be 16% owned in week 17 of the season for the Patriots, who are a god-awful team. Like they're so bad.
Can I tell you a little secret? I have a little GIF waiting for when somebody like hits him really hard. I have a hop on Pop GIF.
The Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, from Dr. Seuss. I'm just waiting.
I'll have to when you post it. I'll have to tag him.
Yeah, please. Just tell him it's all love, But that just
we love Pop.
Yeah,
Pop Douglas was one of the most kind people. Like he was a genuinely kind person when I talked to him. I talked to him for like a half hour. We talked about his quarterback at Fresno, which was that was Jake Hayner, whose mom is from NorCal, and obviously he is too, but plays for the Saints.
Yeah. Well, so in that model,
that was Jalen Cropper. Wrong guy.
Nah, it's okay.
I talked to Pop too, but
not week 17, friends. We're looking at week 16. So
Mario
anyway,
Douglas went to Liberty.
Liberty.
He played. Last week, he caught passes from Malik Willis.
The streak. He only played a few games and he was out. No, I'm kidding. Last week, Zeke Elliott 9 for 11, only 33 yards. He did catch a touchdown. That was impressive. RB number 7. Are you playing Zeke this week? Are you kind of Is Bill Belichick in love with Zeke? I mean, he's jumping over people and shit. He looked great. He looks Zeke-ish. He looks better than Tony Pollard, by the way. We've all kind of come to consensus that he is playing better right now than Tony Pollard, which is wild.
The Cowboys should have never let him go, just like they should have never traded away Amari Cooper for a 5th-round pick.
Yeah, they're still.
It's back to Jerry Jones being a terrible general manager, and guess what? Bill Belichick also a terrible general manager.
It is true. It is true.
He's the best coach of all time, but he can't manage personnel to save his own life. Zeke was a lucky find for him. So was Christian Gonzalez in the draft out of Oregon. Bill Belichick's going to keep this game close. I have the Patriots covering the spread here. Buffalo hasn't been able to put teams away. Like, they've kept bad teams in it. It's way too much tape of the Bills playing below their talent level for me to be comfortable with the 14-point spread.
Can I tell you what? Since they've gone to this little short attacking offense where they don't air it out, and our boy Stephon Diggs has gone from 8.2 catches per game to 5.3 or something like that, right? It helps keep the score down, actually.
Yeah.
And it does not it doesn't make these big blowouts where you have these change of possessions, quick scores, quick strike. It's just a slower pace to the game, which is good or bad, but good if you can kind of pick up on it and kind of zone in. That makes me like James Cook at 7,100 in that passing back role, and then also maybe a dueling banjos with Zeke, knowing they'll be behind. So we haven't had a dueling banjos yet this week, so this could be a potential. It's 13-1, not bad for starting RBs. Were you consider that, or is James Cook too high for you? That's a high price.
Yeah, Cook is too high, especially when last week when we expected James Cook to take advantage of a huge matchup in his favor. He was not targeted a single time.
Zeros.
After we just saw him tear the Cowboys up through the air and on the ground. And we're like, oh wow, they really like the new Joe Brady, offense really likes throwing to James Cook and putting him in space. They did that 0 times last week. 0. And that is unfortunate. That is if that rebounds like they're saying in this blurb here, I will be very happy. I'm just extremely cautious because that was the ultimate kick in the cojones for all fantasy managers during semifinal week of the fantasy football playoffs.
I will say this, right? And this is the thing about DFS. I'm not like pushing back too hard against Bo, but it's a new week. It's a new play. Every play is new, right? And the potential is there for every play. So I do like James Cook, but it is hard at 7,100, which is still 12% rostered, which is pretty good, but a little negative leverage according to Run the Sim. So I think there's better plays than James Cook, and I don't think in this matchup that they get into a shootout with New England. Like, you're looking for games where defenses can give up a lot of points and then the other team can go back and forth. That's not a quick strike offense. If they're going to give the ball to Zeke Elliott, 26 times, it's going to be the shortest, quickest game of the afternoon. They'll be done by 3:45. So, the only reason I asked is because Zeke has all those targets last week, but I don't know if they are going to translate into this week. Honestly.
Did you see the score of Florida State and Georgia?
No, I have not checked. What's the score?
It's like 63-3 or something.
Is it Florida State or is it Georgia?
Georgia.
Georgia's killing
Florida State didn't belong.
They're murdering them.
Florida State was fraudulent from the first game this year. Yeah. A good team. They had a good quarterback who got hurt. They have a few good, well-known players that we're going to be talking about next year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wanted to cry about not being included in the college football playoff.
I saw that.
Because their star quarterback got hurt doesn't mean they shouldn't be invited for going undefeated and winning the ACC. The committee has to put the 4 best teams in the playoff, and that just showed you right there. The Georgia wasn't even invited to the playoff because they lost to Alabama, and they came out and they showed Florida State what a good football team actually looks like. So I'm on the record as saying Florida State was the most overrated team in the country back in September. So
I'm on the record as saying the Glenlivet 14-year age single malt Scotch whiskey that's aged in cognac is spicy. It's spicy, kids. Just want to let you guys know. I like it. A little bit of Georgia too. Yeah. All I can hear is a little bit of Georgia in my life, a little bit of Monica by my side. All that. Okay. Speaking of having somebody by your side,
the viewers are too young for Lou Bega.
I'm sorry. I'm old. Listen, I've got a great timeless voice and a beautiful chin of a man who's probably in his 20s, but I am in my 40s, about to be mid 40s for kids. It's sad. I'm dust, as the kids say. All right. So in this game, not dust, CJ Stroud returns from injury. 3 games he's not played, up against a porous Tennessee defense. A defense, if we look at it, kids, is terrible, right? They've given up tons of yards, tons of touchdowns, tons of receptions. They might be, they're second in receptions, only to the Eagles. But here's the thing. The Eagles are trailing in most of these games. Tennessee is also, the Eagles are winning in most of their games. Tennessee's trailing in most of their games. Like, that's what's even crazier. It's not like they're winning and the other teams have to catch up. Other teams are exploiting them nonstop. And so I like this matchup for CJ Stroud. I'm a little hesitant because he hasn't played. Am I just kind of being a little bit of a, yeah. Okay.
When I see 5% CJ Stroud, I get dollar signs in my eyes.
Get a big boner. I hear you.
That's how good this matchup is. And if you don't stack him with Nico Collins, you're an idiot. Sorry.
I agree. I do think Noah Brown sneaks in for a touchdown. He's on my 10 man $450,000 bet, because I think that CJ Stroud might be, since he's only 5% rostered, he might be the nuts if you stack him with Nico.
That's what I'm thinking.
And then maybe a little, somebody else, maybe I don't know. But maybe just a one-off.
I think you should build a stack with Nico, and you should build a stack with Noah Brown, and you should build a double stack with both of them.
Yeah.
This is the first of the double stacks that I was going to refer to. So
thank you.
Good on you, Scott, for being a very intelligent person.
Thank you. I did give somebody a recommendation to go CEH for floor in fantasy. I know. I feel like I know a Brown for ceiling. I feel a little bad now though, but
CEH has no floor. That's the secret.
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, the problem is
does he have a ceiling? Yes, he does. We saw it a couple weeks ago when he had that 55-yard catch and he scored a whole bunch of fantasy points out of nowhere. Nobody was using him at the time. This is the week where you want to use him because he could pop off. But if you're looking to play him in cash as a floor play, that's where it's going to be dicey.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'll just say this. No offense to CEH. I have no ill will. He it went out on him. He got me $10,000 in the DraftKings little contest I was in a couple years ago, and then a holding penalty on an offensive lineman took the play back that he got, and then he did another play and he ran. He didn't get me the points he got on that play previously, but he did it before a lineman had kind of messed up. And so I'm not bitter against him, bro. He was good in that game for me. Got me what I needed. I wish I would have gone somewhere else, but still, $5K for me. Thanks to CEH. So thank you, CEH. Shout out. We'll talk about you in a little bit. I built that stack. Besides that, I'm not kind of playing anybody else in this game. I don't really like Singletary. I'm going to avoid him. So, Connor over Singletary. That's where I'm going to go in my championship game against Collins. Do you agree? Do you disagree with that? That's kind of where in PPR upside, stuff like that.
Yeah, and we talked about this on Monday. I think it was a wise choice.
Yeah. By the way, you were awesome on the show. I loved it. I told my wife afterwards.
Thanks, man.
I said we've had 4 bangers. I said, and to end the season with Bo was just perfect. I said it's full circle. So anyway, okay, so this game, Atlanta at Chicago. This game is interesting because you have literally no rostership in this game. Like the highest is 5%.
I love it.
It's wild. You've got some offensive weapons. You have some pieces here that could really be going off in this matchup.
And you have a red-hot Bears offense. And the Falcons against a Bears defense that's been good since they acquired Montez Sweat.
Yes, they have.
But it's still gettable. I remember they went from terrible to good. They're not great. And what we just saw from Arthur Smith last week is that he can scheme up a good game plan if he simply removes his head from his ass.
Keister.
Yeah. If he does that, he doesn't look like such a moron anymore. What do you know? Bijan Robinson scored us 19 points last week. You know why? Because you gave him the damn ball.
Yeah, finally. You know who's not so great against the run is the Chicago Bears. The Bears. Yeah, 13 touchdowns and they've given up 7 through the air. That's or 6 through the air. That's wild,
so,
Bijan
as a receiver. I like Bijan as a receiver in this game. I like Kyle Pitts because the Bears are third worst against the tight end position. So Kyle Pitts is live in this one, especially at his price.
There you go. 7 touchdowns. That's third most in the NFL. I like it. Yeah. I think this is a Bijan Pitts game. I'm with you on that. Sorry, I went to the wrong place there.
And Drake London is going to get Jalen Johnson, which means Drake London is not going to have a good game unless they somehow get him away from Jalen Johnson.
Yeah.
Jalen Johnson is statistically the best corner in the NFL. So I don't think that Taylor Heineke should be testing those waters. He doesn't have those kinds of chops.
No, he's got YOLO balls. And so you know who you throw YOLO balls to? Kyle fucking Pitts. That's who you throw YOLO balls to. Sorry to the
basketball.
Denny's kids particularly who watch.
And I like Drake London if he's not covered by Jalen Johnson. Like that's definitely a green light situation there if they can scheme him open. But we have no trust in Arthur Smith to scheme anybody at any point in time if he doesn't deem it necessary to either barely win against a bad team or get blown off the field against a good team.
Yeah. Well, I like the Kyle Pitts play. What about Cole Kmet? He's a little banged up, got a little knee issue. But he could do some damage as well.
Dueling banjo tight end stack in this game.
Oh shit! Let's do it.
Cole Kmet right now hasn't practiced all week.
Nope.
He logged 1 limited practice on Friday. Nobody knows if he's going to play. I have insider information that says he's going to play.
Ooh, breaking news from the block. I love it.
Yeah, it's been circling around Bears Twitter that Cole Kmet is playing through pain, but he's a dog. Like that guy's he is a monster. Like he's if Kyle Pitts had 50 pounds of muscle on him.
Yeah,
that's what Cole Kmet is. He's not obviously not the gazelle that Kyle Pitts is, but
more of a Bronx Fields.
Yeah, of course. And Justin Fields loves throwing the ball to Cole Kmet. And Justin Fields is going to have himself a ball game. Yep. Mark is correct. I did call for Cole Kmet to have 80 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I saw that.
And for Justin Fields and the Bears to effectively close the curtains on the Arthur Smith era in Atlanta.
I would love that. That would give me a raging hard on. And there's nothing
because if the Falcons lose, they are officially out of playoff contention.
And they're trusting in Taylor Heineke. So God bless you. God bless your soul.
It's better than Desmond Ridder by a little bit.
Oh, that's just what I'm just saying. Desperate men do desperate things, So,
and who knows? Maybe Fields is playing his future team from next year.
I think that's what people have been saying. And I hope Arthur Smith's not around to see it because he doesn't deserve it. Because he would ruin Justin Fields even more than Justin Fields has been ruined by the Bears. So
he'd probably run Wildcat with Michael Pruitt just to piss everybody off.
Gosh. By the way, I don't want to be too critical of the NFL since I do like them, but there's 13 games. A simple break of 7-6 or even like 8-5 would have been 9-4. No, 10-3. The 1 p.m. to 4.
They hate
go to hell.
They hate
NFL.
They hate the 4 p.m. window for no other reason.
We enjoy it. We like it. It is nice to sit back and watch multiple games when you have to see like the Raiders and then Easton Stick from the. No one wants to see that.
You know what's funny though is they're cannibalizing on their top product, which is Red Zone channel.
Yeah. When
it's like this, the Red Zone channel is unwatchable after 4
You can't even watch it. Yeah. You're so far behind.
You might as well switch to the main broadcast for whichever game you actually want to watch all of.
Yeah.
Because when there's only 3 games on in the late window, unless there's more than one really good game that you don't want to miss any scores on, which rarely happens. Probably won't happen this week either. But it's pathetic.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Let's talk this pathetic game here. Lowest total on the board, 36. Tied
my
with Denver.
God, this game.
36.5. Yeah.
CJ Beathard.
Beathard.
Don't play CJ Beathard.
Don't. But you know what you could play for cheap? The Carolina Panthers defense against CJ Beathard. That's an interesting play. 2,700. You know, it's cheap. Yep. Just put it out.
6% optimal.
Yeah. It's kind of in the green zone, which is nice.
That's as green as it gets.
And not a lot of people are on it. It's not the cheapest defense if you look at the whole slate, but it's one of, if you put it in here, it's one of the cheapest defenses. So yeah, it's in the bottom half. You know, Commanders, don't play the Commanders defense, friends. Don't you fucking dare. They're gonna be -6 or something like that. So yeah, it's a play. It's definitely a play. But do you like any pieces in this game? Like I already invading Calvin Ridley, but I like Travis. Etienne. He's a good guy. I've heard of him.
Etienne
before.
For sure.
Etienne. Yeah.
Carolina's terrible against the run. Etienne is coming back healthy. It's going to be a really big game for Travis Etienne.
Yeah, you're gonna have to lean on him. I see screens. I see targets. I see. Hopefully,
I like Evan Ingram to a degree. Although when Lawrence got hurt last week, it looked like Ingram checked out completely. Like his day was over.
Language.
He was on the field getting targeted, dropping everything. He must have dropped 6 passes.
Thought he was a New York Giant again.
Well, he's just never had good technique. It's just been good, and it's been more better enough this year to have him do better than before. Like his Jaguars, Evan Ingram is like a couple millimeters closer together on his hands at the catch point. It's still bad technique, but it works a little bit better. He's still an athletic freak that you definitely want to get the ball to. And maybe Beathard's more inclined to target him as a tight end.
He's a big target too, by the way. He's huge.
I also like a little bit of Bryce Young and DJ Chark stack action to be really messy and disgusting because of how bad the pass defense is on the other side there.
You want to stack it up or you do individual plays? How's this kind of putting itself out there?
If I'm doing a stack with Bryce Young, it's skinny. It's going to be Chark. It's going to be or Thielen, not both.
Yeah. You do a Bryce Young, Adam Thielen, Travis Etienne stack.
Yeah.
It's all Shark. There you go.
I think that game goes over.
Yeah, it's a really low total. I think Carolina wins this game, honestly. I'll take the points. I'll take the +4 for them. For sure.
Solid pick.
Yeah, their defense is, I mean, they care. They're young, right? Young people care. It's terrible how they care. They try and shit. So, whereas the Commanders, Jacoby Brissett's going to put up a good fight, but he just doesn't want to die. That's called a transition, kids. You can study that one. But with that being said, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle. That's the 5 players that are the only offensive players pretty much on the field for the 49ers. How are you? Are you playing all of them? I mean, you can't play all of them. How are you prioritizing? Because people are under Christian McCaffrey. They find out that he's good and they play him.
Yeah, 9,600. This is another player where he's going to pay off probably with 20 to 25 points pretty easily. Yeah. Do I think this is a ceiling game for McCaffrey? No. I think if they get off to a big lead, he'll have 2 touchdowns. He'll have 25, 30 points at most. And that's not enough to build a lineup around $9,600 player. Like, honestly, we need 40 plus from McCaffrey to pay off this week. I don't think it happens. That's why the optimal rate is 16 and the optimal leverage is -12.
Right.
Right. I get it. That's like, yes, in cash games, if you can form a team under the cap with Christian McCaffrey, do it. Yeah, it's pretty smart. But more than likely, you're going to want to stack Purdy with Ayuk and Deebo because the weakness of the Commanders' defense is on the outside. Their corners are all banged up. They weren't any good to begin with.
No, they never were.
They have practice squad corners starting on both sides this week against Deebo and Ayuk. So if I'm playing anybody, I'm playing a Purdy double stack with Deebo and Ayuk. And I'm playing skinnies with each of them.
It's making me log in here. It's so annoying. Nobody wants. Why are you making me log in all of a sudden, PFF? You son of a bitch. Yeah, they give Brandon Ayuk a 93.9, and then Debo is right there. Those are sex for the kids. We don't know what that is. It's a term.
And look at our other plays that we've already talked about. Right at the top.
Yeah. And by the way, I had to show you this matchup too. George Kittle also in a favorable matchup. Yeah, we also talked about Puka. We talked about Nico. We haven't talked and Olave. We haven't talked about the games, AJ Brown a little bit too, but we'll get to Justin Jefferson in a little bit. He's not on the slate, so we will never get to him. So we talked about all these top guys already. These should be in your lineup. Look at Puka.
Oh,
yeah. Insert Homer Simpson drool gif. So I think honestly, I do think Kittle gets there. I think I can see Kittle going for right down the seam for a 60-yard touchdown in this matchup. I did also bet him. So I'm being honest. This is people I think are going to score. So I do love Kittle in this. Brock Purdy rebounds.
I love Purdy at 7. I love Purdy at 7.
Yeah, it's good. I do think
you have to stack him though at that ownership though.
Yep. I was going to say you can't play Purdy by himself. You got to kind of break it up a little bit. Are you running it back with Samuel? Are you doing Terry McLaurin? How are you looking at the run back if you do? Or are you just doing an onslaught?
Jacoby Brissett against this defense. No, I'm not.
No. Yeah, you could also play the 49ers defense if you wanted to. But I'll play both of these.
I would love to. They're 4,200 at the top of the board, but
if they get you 30 points, then
that
it might be
13.5. Is that the spread? 13.5.
Yeah, 13.5. I'm taking the minus 13.5. I'm on that side.
Yeah. Lay all the points.
Howell's not starting unless Jacoby Brissett fell and broke his
Jacoby
ankle.
is a game time decision.
Oh, you're right. Wow.
And Howell should be starting if Jacoby can't go tomorrow.
He will be, right.
Either way, I'm more likely to play the Niners defense if Howell's starting because he's more turnover prone.
He's a pick machine.
He takes a lot of sacks. He takes a lot of sacks.
Yes, he does. San Francisco only 2% roster though because they're so expensive, but they might be worth it. I mean, if they get
that might be the way
to.
Might be the way to shed some Christian McCaffrey leverage if you're just building around him.
Right.
Is like I'm going to run that stack just to get that 26% off me.
Yeah. Well, if Howell is starting, then I'll lean Curtis Samuel for that price for 4,400. He's shown a little bit of a chemistry, and when what's his name Howell out of the league soon. Howell when he scrambles around, he got to look for somebody. And Curtis Samuel, he's a good guy. So, yeah, I'm not playing a lot of that matchup, by the way. I'll play a lot of San Francisco, but not a lot of the.
If Brissett does start, I guess the only guy I want to play is maybe Terry McLaurin because he's been so bad Howell's been so bad at getting the ball to McLaurin.
Yeah.
That Brissett, like we saw Brissett come in last week or the last 2 weeks and look immediately for McLaurin. So that's one guy I'd be interested if Brissett is good to go.
Logan Thomas is interesting too at 3,500 in the matchup where you're going to throw the football.
No.
So, you say no. I hear you. I hear you. All right, now we finally broken the seal, and we're in the afternoon window. The witching hour is complete. We're into some shit games here. One good game potentially, and then 2 shit burgers sandwiched around it. So let's talk the first shit burger here. Nobody's playing this game at all. Kenneth Walker a little banged up.
This shit burger is between 2 teams still fighting for playoff spots.
I know. It's going to be a good game, but for DFS purposes, what do you think? 9%, 8%?
Yes.
Could this be a nice little window to steal some money?
Yep.
Look at all these prices.
I'm loving some Geno Smith.
5,900. That's crazy.
Geno, JSN. I love
JSN.
I love Jalen Warren because the Seahawks haven't been good against running backs, but especially receiving running backs. I think Najee Harris's vision is so bad he'll crash into the line even if there's holes available.
Yeah.
Jalen Warren, but the thing with Najee is he's still important to the Steelers' game plan because even if he's crashing into line for 3 yards a pop, that defense wears down a lot faster when they give the ball to Najee a bunch of times in the first half. The Steelers win when they feature Najee, even though he doesn't look the same. That effect, that Zeke effect, like last year with Cowboys, is you knew if you're getting inside the 5, you're getting hit in the face 3 times, maybe 4 times in a row. And defenses don't like tackling for 4 quarters when the guy they're tackling is 250 pounds.
No, he's
so
a beast.
Jalen Warren benefits from Najee. The Steelers benefit from Najee. And
Najee just doesn't benefit from Najee.
No, and that's not his game.
Yeah.
Since they got Jalen Warren on the team, they've been able to give Najee a very specific role that's not really fantasy relevant like it was when he was a rookie and he took all the touches. He had all the volume.
Yeah.
All the receptions, all the he didn't come off the field as a rookie.
Yeah.
But Warren gives him that change of pace where if I'm playing a fantasy running back, especially in a matchup like this where the Seattle Seahawks are weak against running backs who can catch the ball, I really like Jalen Warren's advantage here.
Yeah. And I'll get out of this. No, it's in DraftKings. Okay, good. Yeah, you see he's averaging 2 points per game more, and it's those receptions. He's doubled the targets. No receiving touchdowns either yet. So, I mean, he's due for a receiving touchdown, by the way. I did not bet him, but you could put him in your receiving touchdown.
How about my guy, Jerome Ford, on Thursday? My God.
I did like it. You scored 132. My highest score was 128. I looked it up. You would have won like 40 or $50 if you put that in one of them, Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, that's what I want. That's what I want in my showdown tournament.
I loved it. Right, you did good. Congratulations. I was impressed because I had 128 and I was impressed with myself. And I looked at yours and I was like, wow. So it was sexy.
And I did that. I had a non-Flacco lineup.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. I had the Cleveland Browns defense in my captain. That was what
I had both defenses on the team, and of course the Jets had a pick 6 as well.
Yes, they did. Double defenses, the dueling banjos of defenses. I love it. All right, let's talk about this. Is the game that people seem to be focusing their money in. If you look at this, it's a lot of red. We got Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, Kansas City defense. I'm going to shock you. I think that the Cincinnati Bengals defense outscores the Kansas City Chiefs defense. If you're playing defense for defense, for dollar, whatever you think, I love Kansas City's defense at 2,600. I know that people like Travis Kelce, and I think that he has a plus matchup. But the Bengals are feisty as a team without Joe Burrow. With Joe Burrow, they're they played against them before. They don't have Jamar Chase, so I do think they lose the matchup. But I don't think that Kansas City is Kansas City.
Chase is probably going to play.
He is. I'm wrong. Excuse me. Forgive me.
He's been practicing all week.
I just didn't think. That was the word. So
this is a must win. I'm looking it up right now. Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not.
I want the latest.
Yeah. Well, he's not in here. That's why I thought, because he was not included in this projection. And that changes the projection for everybody, But when you look at the wide receivers, Rashee Rice is the only one that people are even playing. T. Higgins is not being, you get Snead on the outside. You have some good defense for the Chiefs, but still, it's a game changer if Chase plays. I mean, that adjusts the line, honestly. -6.5 becomes maybe -4.5. So, if he does play, I think that's it does change it. Well, let's say he does play. How are you? Looking at, are you playing Browning at all? Are you in a script where he's got to come back, or what are you doing?
I think the Bengals are going to upset the Chiefs. I think they're going to lead most of the game, and I think Joe Mixon is the play here. I think Joe Mixon goes ballistic.
Mixon season. He's only 64
and 1%. That's your leverage pivot of the week to block all the other chalk.
There you go. No one's on Joe Mixon.
And if you're in a big tournament and you're like, hey, I can't quite afford Joe Mixon, play Chase Brown.
Yeah.
Remember that little feeling I had that Rashid Shaheed was going to catch a bomb?
I do
Chase
remember that.
Chase Brown's going to have a home run tomorrow too.
Ooh, little Chase Brownage 4,700. I mean, if he gets a home run, he's probably going to get you 13 points, 14 points. So he's already 3 maxing right in that range. So that's a good play.
Mixon is my play though. He's the leverage play of the week for me. Top 5 running back overall. He's going to. We just saw Zamir White. Zamir White ran for 150 on these guys. The Chiefs are not the same as what they've been. This is the end of the dynasty if they don't figure something out. They still have Patrick Mahomes and they still have Andy Reid. So they can keep this going a lot longer if they make the right moves. But so far, they haven't.
Yeah.
Their wide receivers are so bad.
Not
so bad. Travis Kelce is just fine. Everybody's like, oh, he's 34. He's distracted. No, Travis Kelce's getting triple teamed because nobody else can get open. That's the only thing wrong with Travis Kelce.
And also, kids, do you think Travis Kelce wasn't dating attractive people before? You think he's never dealt with people before? I mean, you break it down.
Even his ex that's been vilified in the press is pretty good looking.
I mean, it's not like he is like an idiot. And he's like, man, I can't keep into the football because of all the Taylor Swift sex. It's just too much for my small brain.
I mean, to be fair, he's
like
never dated the most famous woman on the planet.
Listen, I've been listening to this podcast.
Less about looks and more about
the
fame.
Same today, yesterday, and tomorrow, right? He's just quick. Yeah. He's funny. He's not. I mean, he's a little stressed out, but he's talking it like it is. He's like, I shouldn't have thrown my helmet. I shouldn't have done that. You know, I like these Kelce boys. They're like the Simpson boys.
I love that Andy bumped him. That's so great. Yeah, it's like you see coaches chew their players out for doing that stuff.
Right.
But Andy Reid got in his face and bumped him. Like, hey, who's the boss? Remember who the boss is.
Tits out, baby. Tits out is what he did. He was just boom. Boom. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, T. Higgins is coming for you. Hide your kids, hide your wife. All right, last game before we run the Sims, and then I do need to email these 2 rosters to myself, so I'll let you kind of talk away here. Yeah, this Turd Ferguson of 2 franchises right now. One losing their head coach. One should lose their head coach. Maybe he should go coach the Chargers. They deserve him. Sean Payton, Ryan Clark has come out, and said Sean Payton's an asshole, basically. And I kind of agree. I just wanted to add that to my, the history books that I agree. Sean Payton, not the greatest guy. Do you think, that you're going to play Jared Stidham here for 4,800? I saw incredible people talking about starting him in the Sims, have him green from stem to stern. This is making me want to vomit.
Well, let's just say the Easton Stick is better than Jarrett Stidham. And the only reason Jarrett Stidham is still in the league is because of the same reason Nathan Peterman hung around the league and Tim Boyle hung around the league, is they are friends with the coach. Jarrett Stidham is a Josh McDaniels guy, and he's a relic from the bygone era. And it's just hilarious to see that Jarrett Stidham is still in the league. He was awful at Auburn. Awful at Auburn.
He's always been awful.
He's been awful since the jump. Easton Stick at least was great at North Dakota State, and he's just a backup. This Jarrett Stidham is just a backup. He has no healthy receivers. Like Cortland Sutton's out. Jerry Jeudy has been a ghost all year, so who knows? Dulcich has been out all year. Javonte Williams and Samaje Perine and Jaleel McLaughlin, all allergic to scoring touchdowns this year, it seems like. Javonte scored last week, but he only averaged 2 yards a carry, so what are you going to use him for? This game is a shit sandwich. In Denver, I think Denver's defense is a good play here against Easton Stick because he doesn't have any wide receivers to throw to. It's just ugly. I guess if you wanted to play any Chargers, Austin Eckler is a pretty decent pick in cash because he's going to touch the ball a lot.
Yeah, this game kind of just is kind of gross to me, and
it's so bad.
Yeah, I'm trying to email myself these lineups. I'm like a total moron here, so bear with me, kids. I'm an adult. I've done this before. Okay, almost there. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I'm an idiot.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, let's run The Sims because I'm not playing any of those fucking players from that game. Sorry to the kids. Run.
Feels like I'm running at an incredible rate.
You are running at an incredible rate. Okay, I emailed them to myself. What a laborious task. Okay. Ooh, they like
Boomer.
Zamir White.
Me too.
Zamir White. Yeah. They got a lot of Rishi Rice. Can I go back and just temper that a little bit, please? That's too much for me. I don't need 30%. I'll take like
10% Rashi.
10% is great. Yep. It's easy to adjust players. That's what's cool about Run the Sims. It's so intuitive, easy to use. Justin Freeman knows what he's doing. Still got Rishi Rice in there, but I like this lineup right here. You got your boy Tyrod, Zamir, Christian McCaffrey, Demario Douglas, Pittman, Ayuk, Trey McBride, Gerald Everett. We didn't even talk about him. He's like, well, he actually is not a bad play. And then the Giants is trash. You get better defense than them. But yeah. I do like it. You looking at this one right here? The Zamir. Which one's your guy?
Yeah, I like the Pittman as a sneaky one, but I like the Ravens defense here. That's a smart.
Yeah.
That's a smart play.
Tanner Hudson, not a bad little sneaky tight end play either.
Yeah.
A lot of
Stroud.
Ooh, a lot of Zamir. Yeah, I got some Stroud here. Zamir,
like
Stroud,
that.
Nico. I like this one. Not a big Travis Kelce. I'm not going to double stack two Kansas City Chiefs players and then not play Mahomes. It's just kind of, I don't know.
Right.
It makes sense. Denver's defense, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think about this lineup here, though? Stroud, Zamir White, McCaffrey, Ayuk, Brown, Douglas, McBride, Everett, Patriots. Yeah. This one, too. Fields, Zamir White. I'd switch out Jonathan Taylor, Ayuk, Douglas, Pitts, Cole Kmet. There's our double stack. We talked about building that in our flex.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of double flexes here. I mean, they've got McBride, Kelsey, McBride, Everett, Jonnu Smith, Travis Kelce, Everett, Kelsey. We didn't ask them to do that. So it does look like it might be a dueling banjos tight end situation for your lineup as well. Don't be afraid.
That's kind of what I'm getting from these optimal lineups is they expect chalk running backs to hit.
Yeah.
They expect the quarterbacks that we are all playing at the 10 to 15% ownership mark to pay off. And what I'm getting from this is that they're saying that a 2 tight end build is going to be very highly optimal.
I think what you see for the tight end builds, right? So we got Kittle and Everett, Pitts and Kmet. You're getting, at least with the Kittle Everett, volume, right? Upside with Kittle.
You're getting
touchdowns.
upside for a much lower price.
Yeah. I didn't see
how many wide receivers are going to outscore Kyle Pitts in points per dollar on DraftKings at 4,100?
4,100.
I don't see it. That's great value.
Yeah. I would like a little more Raheed Shaheed sprinkled in throughout. I don't see enough of him. I know they're not optimizing him just because they don't see it, but I would love a Rashid Shaheed here and maybe in place of Demario Douglas or something. And I'm not sure how. I got a little bit of money left over, but
a lot of these lineups, look at most of them are over 100% ownership product, which is they're telling us they expect the chalk to hit this week. Right. We're not in that business. We're in the leverage business. We're blocking the chalk. Because
here's one though.
We're chalk blocked.
Joe Mixon.
We're chalk blocked.
Yeah, we're talking about we're blocking. If it says it's 142 projected rostership, I do not want that. I'm looking at 92% here, right? Where you've got a nice little unconditional or not unconditional, whatever it is, a build that's not traditional, untraditional. There you go. Anyway. So, all right, let's check out the teams here. We'll start off with you. I'm going to spare people.
I don't think I'm going to win ever again.
I'm not going to tell people that you didn't win last week because,
I never win. So I don't think any of our viewers remember the last time I won.
I was in the Reagan administration.
Myself. I'm having trouble myself.
I'm not sure either, right? It's 12-4, by the way. I do know that.
What's funny is I really don't mind it at all because I've still built good lineups.
Oh, yeah. It's close.
They just haven't been against you.
No. And last week,
my lineup was pretty good. my lineup was pretty good last week. It didn't matter. I knew I was sunk by 10:38 a.m. Pacific time.
That's 40 minutes into the games, kids. That's not good.
I know.
That's bad. But
Really bad.
Let's talk about the plays I really like in your lineup, because I think you have a really good chance to beat me this week. Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk are a beautiful, sexy stack. And then you also have put in Raheem Shaheed. We talked about him, Kyle Pitts, and Puka Nacua. We've talked about all three of those players. I think I have all three of those players in my build too.
So we matched 5, I think.
5. So there's only 9. You play 9. So we matched 5 of them. The players we didn't match were Purdy, Mixon, Ayuk, and then the Raiders D. So we have everybody else. It's the same. We've got Puka, we've got Pitts, Rashid, we've got Robinson, and White. Yeah. So we've been. We
didn't even talk about Robinson.
We didn't even. We just kind of skipped over him and talked about Puka,
4 straight games with a touchdown on top of a lot of volume.
Yeah.
I bet the Chiefs could use a wide receiver like that, couldn't they?
Man,
he was with them forever.
Sure-handed. I mean, what? Where did
gets
you get
open
that
in
guy?
the red zone?
Where did the Rams grab that guy from? I don't know what happened.
Off waivers.
Oh, from the Chiefs, right?
Well, he went to the Ravens after that.
Oh yeah, he did go to the Ravens. Oh yeah, that's true. He bounced.
But the Chiefs let him go.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Our lineups look a lot alike, except for our quarterback, right? So I have Matthew Stafford. So you've got a little leverage on me that you've got both the same receivers. So that kind of sucks for me. You're stealing my points there.
Killed your stack,
motherfucker. But I do have DeAndre Swift, which you do not have.
I love Swift.
Yeah. So I've got Swift, Matthew Stafford, Mike Evans, and then the Bengals D. So between the 4 of that's what I'm playing. I'm playing Brock Purdy and Ayuk, and the Raiders D and Joe Mixon. That's it.
So our scores are going to be pretty close, I think.
We're going to be. I mean, dude, we're talking 5-10 points at max between each other, so it's going to be super close. Yeah. Well, here's a question for you.
Great minds.
Great minds. I listen, and we don't talk at all before we do our stuff.
It's very secretive process. We don't. We promise not to. We promise not to look at each other's lineup if we post it in the chat.
Yeah,
like
we never. I never do.
It's real. Like
I promise.
Sometimes we match a lot of guys. Sometimes we don't.
When I had put my lineup in 2 days ago or 3 days ago when you sent it to me, I put it in. I didn't check it. I didn't adjust it. As soon as you sent me yours today, I went into DraftKings and sent it over right away. And then I looked. I was like, God damn it! 5 minutes.
It was like It was like less than a minute after I sent it to you. It was a reply.
I was ready, and I couldn't believe there were so many matches because we do not talk. Our processes are completely
and it's a 13-game slate, and we have 5 matches.
Right. So we're gonna either sink or swim. So if you like Rashid Shaheed, upside Kyle Pitts,
that's what I'm thinking. I was thinking because we have so many matches that this is the week where we're both right. Yeah. And like I said, we're gonna win more money tomorrow than we will in all of our season-long championships that we're both in plenty. Not against one another this year.
Yeah. I got 1,200 on the line tomorrow, man. I'm playing Denny. I'm playing Mike Cash Collins, my partner, and I'm playing another friend in a Campus to Canton league where I've been dominating, and finally am in the winning. So it's a winner take all there too, pretty much. It's 550 to 50. So it's like money back or nothing. So oh my god,
I'm in my Vegas dynasty. I've already locked up at least 300, and it's 600 to the winner. And then in redraft royalty, which is a Josh Cho, he started this league with a bunch of Twitter redraft celebrities, quote unquote, according to him. And Herms was the number 1 seed, and he got upset in the first round. I was like, oh, thank God, because Herms and Team Poopy Pants were kicking everybody's ass.
Yeah, I love Herms.
I was the number 2 seed.
Yeah,
and until week 14, I played against Kevin Tompkins, friend of the show. Played against Kevin Tompkins. He beat me, took the first round bye from me. And so I had to win my quarterfinal to get a rematch against him in the semifinals. And I beat him, got my revenge. Now I'm in the championship against our other friend of the show, Cal from Louisiana, Calvin and Hobby.
I love Calvin and Hobby.
Cal Shoemake, yeah.
Baseball boys.
Yeah, some really strong players in that league. And in that league, I started off with Jerome Ford and Brees Hall on Thursday. So I have a
you're making me hard.
53 point head start.
Well, let me just tell you, folks, if you want to build the best stack of the week, you got to go to bigtimeflavor.co. You can build up this bundle that gets you the hot box, the smoke shack, the taco season, the Shelby Street Heat Nashville hot blend, the all-purpose amigo seasoning, big time blunder, yeah, by bundling it. If you don't, I was trying to say, if you don't bundle it, it's the biggest blunder of the season. Because I mean, $45 for all that. Come on, save yourself some money, right? Anything else, Bo? We should let the people know before it might be the last show. I was going to say, I heard Pat Mayo on his show talking about how next week is so wild and crazy and such an insane asylum that DFS it might not be worth waiting in. But I had to talk to you first. So, you have any breaking news? Do you think we'll be here? Maybe no, maybe yes. What do you think?
I hope so, because I've won more money week 18 or back a few years back, week 17. Last week of the season, Wild West season, is you're going to want a guy like me who knows all these second and third string players that are going to get a run. Like, I don't know how much money I made. Was it 2 years ago? No, it's 3 years ago.
Yeah, it was very sexual.
Remember, it was Isaiah McKenzie. He hadn't played all year for the Bills.
No.
And
touchdowns.
And we had like 43 points in week 17.
It was nasty.
And
it was the nuts.
I hated it. I called it.
I hate when you're right. And that's why I've been enjoying this little streak of mine against you, because I might retire at the end of this year just to say I've beat the great Bo McBrayer and watch you.
My wife did the same thing. She beat me and retired. She had. So that's the story. Is that it's championship week? So I have to tell the quick story. Yes, it was the year before. 2020 is when you joined my league. 2019 was the last year she was in my league.
You're right.
And
lovely lady. Yes.
She managed her own team. We had it on Yahoo before Sleeper was even a thing. And we were in the championship round together. Both of our teams are loaded. We get all the way to the end, and I'm favored to win by 40. My team is, I think I lost one game all year. And I'm favored at 40. I went to her and I looked at her. I was like, hey, the pot's ours. You want to chop it? And she said, go fuck yourself. And she beat me by 80.
Oh my gosh, bro. That's a beatdown.
She has not played fantasy football since.
Smart.
She retired and rode off into the sunset, never to play fantasy football again. And I was averaging 160 points a week and I scored 85.
You know what?
She scored 170 something. It was nuts.
Yeah, just like every girl they want to retire in the black. You know what I mean? That's what you want. So with that being said, it's a financial term, red or the black, right? I mean, you're making money. Yeah. With that being said, thank you for watching this year. And thank you for coming back. We've been gone on a Christmas hiatus. My wife was sick last week and family was kind of in shambles. And the week before that, Christmas stuff for the famine as well. So, but next week, you heard it here first. We will be here. We'll be talking fantasy football. And then during the playoffs, we probably won't have shows during the playoffs, but we'll be there gambling and doing DFS. So reach out on Twitter, ask us who we're thinking. Bo's an encyclopedia, man. If you don't know Bo, you don't know fantasy football. And if you don't know fantasy football, you don't know ball. That's the last word. Bo, anything else you want to say before we get out of here? Peace.
Fuck the patriarchy.
Yeah, for sure.